We're starting a new season, and that means the next 4 episodes will be 8mm Mauser ammunition reviews. Today we have some unique Persian ammo from the mid-1950s. Let's go to the range. Today we have Persian 8mm Mauser ammunition. I've heard that this ammunition has frequent duds and hangfires, so let's test that. Hangfire, a pretty long hangfire, 2,440. $2,445. That one fired correctly. Hangfire, 2,442. Pretty light hangfire, 2,459. Hangfire, 2,430. Got 5 more rounds. Hangfire, and we had an error. $2,494. $2,521. $2,428 hangfire. $2,627. I think that might have been a really minor hangfire. So that was our time on the range. Our velocities had a low of 2,440 feet per second and a high of 2,627 feet per second. That gives us a spread of 187 feet per second and an average of 2,476 feet per second. Now that average is a little hot for heavy ball ammo, but it's not necessarily an outlier. However, I would like to draw your attention to a couple outliers I had towards the end of that string of fire, and we also had 6 out of 10 of the rounds be hangfires. But we'll talk a little bit more about that performance in the debrief. Sadly, I don't have a box for this ammo, but let's take a close-up look at the Headstamp. Now, I don't have any boxes for this ammo, but I'll include a link in the description to a forum post that includes someone who did have a crate of this ammo. They include pictures and translations. Now, a real challenge with coming out of countries like Iran is the need to speculate about markings and production history. Let's look at the Headstamp, and I'll do my best to explain the various theories. Now, if you happen to have more information, please link your sources and I'll pin the comments. Now, at the top of the Headstamp here is the Iranian crown, which is the symbol of the Pahlavian monarchy. On the bottom is the date using the Persian calendar. Now, the Persian calendar starts in 62 AD when Muhammad went to Medina. My ammo dates between 1954 and 1955 according to the Gregorian calendar. Now, those areas are where the collecting community agrees. One source I used said that the Persian mem symbol on the left side here indicates that the ammo was made in Tehran and that the 2 is a lot number, but I don't think that that is correct. Others point out that the Persian 30-06 ammo has the mem over here, but on this side it has 1 instead of 2. So mem 1 is probably the marking for 30-06, and mem 2 is the marking for 7.9mm Mauser or 8mm Mauser. I personally believe that this second reason is a lot more likely, since I haven't seen pictures of Persian 8mm Mauser from the 50s with any marking but 2 on this side. Now, the case does appear to be annealed, which is what that little discoloration is right there that you can see, and there is black sealant on the primer. Now, also, inside of the case, there are 2 flash holes. It's Berdan primed, but for some reason there's a little bit of purple inside of the flash hole, and I've never noticed that before, but several of the rounds I pulled had that. As I said, finding specific information on this ammunition is difficult. The best I can tell from my research, some of the early Iranian 8mm Mauser was made in the 1930s by FN and imported into Iran to be used. But being made in the 1950s, this ammo was produced domestically in State Arsenal 131 in Tehran. This ammo was originally produced for Czech BRNO Mausers. Iran began by importing these rifles, and didn't produce them domestically until the late 1940s. The earlier rifles were long rifles, similar to this Turkish Mauser right here. And actually, some of these Turkish Mausers were also produced by BRNO in Czechoslovakia. However, this is not one of them. This is a true Turkish Mauser. And the later rifles were short rifles, similar to this Yugo 2447. This is the rifle that I used for testing. And even some shorter carbines. Iran used these rifles and this cartridge until the 1960s, when they upgraded to M1 Garands. Now let's take a close-up look at those components. Our bullets ranged from 196.8 grains to 198.2 grains. That gives us a spread of 1.4 grains and an average of 197.6 grains. All of that is typical, but what is not typical is the shape of the bullets. Let me show you what I mean. This bullet is a weird shape, so I'm comparing it to a much more typical Yugoslavian bullet right here. The bullets are a little bit shorter, even though they're roughly the same grain weight. And it is a little fatter in the front, which is kind of weird. So it's a little fatter in the front, and then the back with the boat tail is really tight. It closes in a lot more than the similar Yugoslavian round, which is just really, really interesting. So it's sort of front heavy. And I'd be really interested to test these both for accuracy as well as in ballistic gel. I do have a full box of these rounds, so I could do that eventually, but I would need to reload them since the rounds that I was testing did have a lot of hangfires. The powder ranges from 44.5 grains to 45.5 grains, with an average of 45.1 grains. Interestingly, this is the most powder of any military surplus round I've tested. Not by much, but just by a little bit, but it is interesting to note. These rounds are loaded with a flake powder, like we've seen many times on this channel before. If you encounter this ammo in the wild, I'd say don't plan on shooting it. All of the rounds that I've seen have been in good cosmetic condition, but they are well known for copious amounts of hangfires. So I guess if you get it for a good price, you could reload the bullets and powder, but that being said, I don't see this ammo available very often. Since it's interesting, it has a bit of a higher price, and we don't see a lot of stuff from Iran in the States. For those reasons, I would say that use other ammo, cheaper ammo for the components, and keep this stuff for the collection. I hope you found this video helpful and entertaining, so please do the usual YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe. You know what to do. Share this video with people who might find it helpful. I'm 8mm Mauser Man, and I fired Persian ammo from the 1950s, but I lived on. Iran used these rifles and... Whoops.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.